Good evening. It looks set to be a Christmas of travel chaos. Thousands of BA cabin crew are due to strike on Christmas Day and Boxing Day in a row over pay, with 1,500 Swissport workers walking out on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, Southampton Airport being worst affected. While Southern Rail continues their strike action just as engineering works get underway. With more details, here's our transport correspondent, Mike Pearce.
Be it in the air or on the rails, it looks like chaos over the festive break. Peace talks are being held, but action over pay and union recognition could hit baggage at airports, with flights cancelled because of strikes by onboard crew as well. The first disruption could be on Friday. On the railway, the disruption starts on Christmas Eve when Paddington closes for 6 days. Over the holiday, platforms are closed at Waterloo and some services to London Bridge won't run.
Over 25,000 members of the Orange Army will be out and about this Christmas improving the railway.
I suppose it's never a good time to do this work in terms of disrupting the passenger. Why though Christmas?
Well, for the railway, the Christmas time is actually one of the quietest time of the year for rail travel. Over almost 50% less travel over a Christmas week than a normal week. So it's an ideal time for us to invest over £100 million to improve the railway, with the Orange Army out night and day, 25,000 members out over Christmas to make the railway better.
And all of this as the southern disruption continues, with guard strikes today and tomorrow and again over the new year. A driver's work to rule is adding to the misery. Meanwhile, Highways England say they're clearing 200 miles of roadworks to ease the squeeze. The busiest day is expected to be this Friday.
Good news on the major roads. Highways England taking off lots of roadworks, opening up and keeping the traffic flowing, so that's very positive. But yes, the key thing is that the railway gets running again when Network Rail says it can, because we've seen some disasters in previous years. We don't want to see that again.
Is it the best time to do it?
It's the lowest time for passenger traffic on the railway, so yes, it is a sensible time from that point of view. It's the least disruption, but it's never a good time. We like this investment because obviously it's welcome, but the key is just to handle it properly so that you take passengers with you.
Of the £100 million being spent over the Christmas on the railway, almost half of it will be here on the lines to Paddington. The advice is to check your journey. There will be disruption from and including Christmas Eve. Mike Pearce, ITV News, Paddington.
In other news tonight, a pedestrian has been seriously injured in Winchester in a crash with a park and ride bus. It happened close to the Brook Centre just after 5 o'clock. The area has been cordoned off for several hours. The manufacturers of a cot in which a baby girl from Sussex died have apologised to her parents. 7-week-old Grace Roseman became trapped in the bed nest and suffocated. The product has now been modified, but Grace's parents say the company's apology just adds insult to injury, as Malcolm Shaw reports.
Obviously, I went upstairs. She still appeared to be sleeping.
Esther and Gideon Roseman appeared on ITV's This Morning today, determined that no one else should suffer the tragic loss they have. Their baby daughter Grace died at home in Haywards Heath when her head became trapped on the half-lowered side of a bed nest like this, cutting off the blood supply to her brain.
What came out from the inquest is that the product is dangerous. In terms of the halfway fold, a baby could be killed within 2 seconds of getting its neck over the edge. It is unbelievably dangerous.
Last Friday, the coroner for West Sussex expressed serious concerns about the safety of the crib, and she accused the company of showing a lack of compassion by suggesting that Grace's toddler sister might have been involved in her death, something for which there was absolutely no evidence.
All experts that I was in contact with made it clear that babies of this age, a strong baby, could get its head over. So it's an unusual situation where you're facing an inquest where your clients are going to be cross-examined.
Bedness says it's taken on board all the coroner's comments and apologised unreservedly for the distress caused to the Rosemans. It's stepping up its efforts to contact customers and to get the cribs modified. The product had been promoted by the National Childbirth Trust. The charity now says our involvement with this tragedy is a matter of profound and lasting regret. We will continue to do all we possibly can to alert parents to the clear risk posed by the bed nest if used without the manufacturer's modification. But it's feared other cribs are being passed on or resold.
I've just done a quick search on eBay and found 4 bed nests currently for sale second-hand. In all these cases, the sellers say that the cribs have had the safety modification.
But only 2/3 of the cribs sold since 2010 have so far been traced, leaving hundreds of bed nests unmodified and babies potentially still at risk. Malcolm Shaw, ITV News.
A mother has been convicted of murdering her baby boy, who was just 19 days old. Nicola Brown from Portsmouth has been remanded in custody and will be sentenced next month. Her son suffered broken ribs and died from a head injury. Her husband, Jason Brown, was cleared of causing or allowing the baby's death. A former paediatrician from Salisbury has been jailed for 4 years for sexually assaulting children. Michael Salmon, who's now 81, targeted victims aged between 8 and 15 years old during the 1970s and 80s. A 26-year-old man has been crushed to death at a compost site in Chichester. Emergency crews were called to the Runcton site on Bognor Road. The man from Hampshire died at the scene. Sussex Police has received 6 allegations of abuse committed in the county by different football coaches. It's the latest force to investigate widespread allegations of sexual abuse, but they stress the claims do not involve either of the county's professional teams. Christmas lights which caught fire have caused major damage to a house in Weymouth. A man had to escape through a first-floor window and 2 dogs were rescued. The fire service is warning everyone not to overload sockets. And finally tonight, it's a shocking fact that more than 300,000 older people will spend Christmas Day alone this year. One woman in Hampshire was so appalled, she started making winter survival boxes for those who are most in need. And the charity has taken off, as Rachel Hepworth now explains.
Hi Jan, how are you doing? We brought you a Christmas box.
A surprise visit for 81-year-old Jan Merrifield at her home in Burley in the New Forest.
I don't get many presents now. Be an old lady, they forget about you.
You can open that.
It's not just presents that she doesn't get, it's visitors too. Like 1.2 million people, she suffers from chronic loneliness.
I don't get nobody come to see me. If I didn't have the old goggle box, I don't know what I'd do. The telly.
It was the plight of people like Jan that galvanised healthcare worker Alison to start making winter survival kits for patients in the New Forest. Practical gifts like food and warm clothes and a few festive treats.
I think it's an easy trap to fall into, to think that somebody else is doing something. I think there's more of a need out there than we realise, particularly at this time of year, when people are struggling to get out to get food and struggling to keep themselves warm.
And suddenly you've got no one to talk to.
It's a view shared by Age UK, who this year launched a Christmas video campaign to tackle chronic loneliness. Research has shown it can be as harmful to health as smoking.
Loneliness is not easy at all.
There are up to 1 million people who say they haven't spoken to a friend, neighbour or relative for over a month. It's hard to fathom, isn't it? I think many older people have perhaps lost their partners and have got more and more isolated.
Alison's campaign has struck a chord, with donations from patients, schools and pharmacies flooding in. The team is planning to continue with the boxes through the winter, though they won't include everything on Jan's wish list.
Well, I'd like another husband. I hope you ain't put that down, or else I'll be getting queues at the door.
Rachel Hepworth, ITV News, in the New Forest.
Let's hope she finds him. Now, what does the weather have in store over the next few days? With all the details, here's James Wright.
From sleet to the slopes, driving through Europe. Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Good evening, bit of a dampness around today. Hopefully that's now clearing to give us 1 or 2 brighter breaks through tomorrow. That little system there is just pushing away. It's going to meet this next rain band in from the north and west through Wednesday, potentially into Thursday, because it's got a bit of a trailing waving front on it. After that rain clears, hopefully some brightness on Thursday, and then question mark over Friday. I'll tell you about that in a moment. Some mist and fog developing after that rain clears. Shouldn't linger too long. In fact, we'll start to see a few breaks in the cloud. That will allow potentially a bit of a brief frost with lows of about 3 or 4 Celsius. We've also got 1 or 2 showers just drifting along the coast there. 1 or 2 of those will just drift on land. As far as tomorrow goes, then we eventually lose these showers. 1 or 2 could just try and hold on. Elsewhere, things start to brighten up a bit, but we've got layers of cloud mixed in, so it's not exactly going to be wall-to-wall sunshine. I suspect it'll just feel a lot brighter than it has done today. Of course, the sun's quite low in the sky. Highs of 5 or 6 away from the coast, up to 7 or 8 near the coast. We take that onshore breeze. And then, afraid to say, rain on Wednesday that could make a revisit on Thursday, but Thursday looking a lot brighter that night.
Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
That's all from us for tonight. We are back in Good Morning Britain from 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. But from me and from all of us here on the Late Team tonight, thanks very much for your company. See you tomorrow. Until then, good night.